All right, just one question like yesterday's. It's not an easy one. What makes it a little more challenging is the 0.5. Like if it's a negative number or a decimal, it's going to be a little more challenging to work through. So I didn't want to just pick a really easy question and then leave you hanging on difficult ones. So I did pick a difficult one to go through. We have two ordered pairs, and we're challenged to write an exponential equation. So when you read exponential equation, if it's a word problem, you think of that growth model where you have to do 1 plus the rate or 1 minus the rate for decay. But just an equation from a graph or a set of points, you have your initial amount times the base raised to the power. So what we need to figure out is what is the initial amount and what is the base. We have to find A and B. So I'm going to change the screen and do it on the screen because it's actually, I've been doing it on the whiteboard and that's not enough room. That tells you how much work it takes. I can't fit it in all of this. I've had a hard time fitting it in. So it's kind of a lot. So we're at 13.51. Right. I'm going to do it on here instead. So I'm going to make two equations plugging in for the x and the y. And these are the 2 points I'm going to use for the two equations, x, y, x, y. So that means the first equation would be 3 equals a times b to the first. And the second equation would be 1 equals a times b to the 0.5. There's some kind of problem with that cart. I asked IT and they said it's like doing what it's supposed to. So they upgraded it so that it only charges one row at a time. Why? Well, when you plug in Chromebooks, particularly like over the weekend and such, after they're fully charged, if you continue charging them, it actually wears out the battery sooner. So it's like a smart cart. And you know what I think it is? I think the problem is that maybe they weren't all in the right numbers. No, so doesn't make sense. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'll contact the IT again about it, but I've already talked to him about it once, and he says, oh no, at any point, they should all be charged other than 6. There's one over here somewhere. I would do them all on paper. Yeah, just do it on paper, and I'll try to get it all worked out. I'll send the email right now and see what seems to be gone. I'm sorry. You can get a new pencil if you want. Yeah. All right. So anyway, you plug in the x and the y to make two equations. Now, on the first equation, is anyone's Chromebook higher than 63%? Raise your hand if your Chromebook's higher than 63. Only one. Only one. Yeah. Yeah, I say grab from the bottom. Did you grab from the bottom? All right, so we're going to get A alone. So if it's 3 equals A times B, to get A alone, I'll just divide by B. 3 divided by B equals A. All right, get A alone, check. Now we're going to substitute into the second equation. So I'm going to take this whole guy and I'm going to substitute it into that second equation for A. This is substitution. So it's 1 equals 3 over B times B to the 0.5. It's actually B to the 0.5, which is making this so complicated. The first thing I would do is just multiply it, and that would put the B in the numerator next to the 3. 3B 0 to the 5 over B to the first. Next, I would subtract top to bottom. I would do 0.5 minus 1, or if you can like skip ahead of that and see that that would be B 0.5 in the denominator, that's fine too. You can already see that? That's really good. Kellen? Yeah, why not? It's not like we're doing anything here. It's a pretty tough question, to be honest. No. Oh. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. All right. So now negative exponents take a term and make the reciprocal. So this is actually 1 equals 3 over B to the positive 0.5. So we're going to take the negative exponent and its base and move it to the denominator. Yeah, if it wasn't negative, we'd be good to go. But since it's negative, it's more complicated. No, because 3 is up top, we can't multiply by it. So instead, we want to get B out of this fraction, so we're actually going to multiply both sides by B. It's a little much. Alejandro, you might just have to do it on paper today. How kind. Just like that. A generous offer up. Will you please plug that in? Yeah. And then, is the light turning on when you plug it in? That's what I don't like. I told them I see it. If you put it in a different row, will the light turn on? I'm over it too. I'm over it too. Walk away. Walk away. Walk away from that. You've given that enough of your time. Mm-hmm. What's the whole point of making it a -1? Okay. Actually, none. So if you look at this and you could just see that the difference would be 0.5 in the denominator, you can. You don't have to show that subtraction. For me, I wouldn't have shown that work. I would know that this right here is the equivalent of 3 over B to the 0.5. I see that. Do you see that? No. So if you see that, you can. If you don't, then you need to do the subtraction, get the negative, put the negative underneath. If you can see all of that work like before it just it's like you can see it. You got to show something, but yeah, something. All right, so how do we solve? We're here now. B to the 1/2 equals 3. So how do we cancel out the 1/2 exponent so B is alone? Multiply by what? It is the equivalent of square root. You could get there. You could square root it, and then what would you do? You would square both sides and get 9? Yep, 9's the answer. But another idea lots of students have been having is you multiply this by the reciprocal. Is that what you guys were saying? 2 over 1 on both sides. So that would be B equals 3 squared. So B equals 9. And we proved every step of the way. We showed work and our properties, so B is 9. Now find A. Well, that's just how, with rational exponents, that was one of the strategies we used last chapter. How do you clear it? You do the reciprocal on both sides.
With compounding continuously, you put the rate over e.
No.
How do you use that?
You need to find it. It's in chapter 6.1. Now we got to find A.
That was just the first.
Yeah, that was just B. You also have to find A. Yeah, so I'll take this. When you find B, the last bit is not nearly as difficult. So you take the bit you found and you put it right there in your first process of solving for A. So that would be 3 over 9 equals A. So 1/3 equals A. So our answer is 1/3 times 9 to the x power.
You had to put it for these.
Big ID is math, you can, but I mean, I would take a product dot. Now, all of this step is much shorter if you have a number here higher than 1. The reason this took so long is because it was a decimal. Had this just been like a 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, you'd have a positive exponent and you wouldn't have to go through that whole process. So there are shorter, easier questions. This one's complicated because of the 0.5. If this was regular algebra 2, I would not have presented this question. Regular algebra 2 would always be a 1 here and a 3 here. We would do the same steps every time. This is honors, so we do things a little more challenging. All right, so let's look at the 4 problems now from yesterday. It was 7, 8, 9, and 42. You have your name, date, period?
Yeah, dude, name date period.
You need date, period, and go ahead and list what the assignment is. I won't be able to. Oh, I heard someone do that, and I was like, here's 42. I know that you have the ability to find it just as easy as me. Compound continuous?
Yeah.
You can do it. It's only like 6 pages to look through.
I've checked.
Is it 6.2 then, you think?
It might be because this is just exponential growth and decay.
Maybe it's 6.2. Sorry, 6.2. Sorry. All right, so here's 42. Some students wanted to talk about this one. This one's interesting because of the 0. First off, in y equals a times b to the x, the y-intercept is the a. So we could have started by knowing a. Rahar. So a is the initial amount. Initial amount's the same thing as an intercept, so a is definitely 4. Now you will find that when you plug in the 0, b to the 0 is 1, a times 1 is a, 4 is a. That was kind of evident. This one almost was cut too short. Students were questioning it because it was much shorter to figure out a than the more difficult ones.
So whenever it's 0.
Some people thought it was more. Is anything to the 0 power is 1. So we were immediately able to find a. It was real quick. And then you put 4 in for a, and you end up 1 equals 4 times b. Divide 1/4. Questions on 42? No? What'd you say, Isaac? You have one or no? Here's 9. Look at 9 took a while. I can't even really fit it in one screen. There's 9. Oh, because of the 0.5.
Maybe we should just cancel all the 0.5.
So, question. I got those answers, but I swapped them. I got the A and the B wrong.
So you should definitely look at it and fix it. And then you can turn it back in. You're not alone. Somebody else got A and B switched up. Yep, so this is a 4 and a 1. Then you can cube root, get to a 2. Yeah, I'll just cut off the bottom there. Is that enough? Eric, how'd you do on 9? Do you have anything written down? Written down for 9? Yeah, for 9. Number 9. You know what's interesting is when you're studying for this test, you actually have access to all of the assignments. Every assignment is online, so you can, and it shows you the right answer, so you can flip through that kind of like a Quizlet and see like the problem and the answer, problem, answer. Help you remember what we covered. All right, so there's no questions on 9. Here's 7. Think I did 7 in class yesterday, maybe? All right, are there any questions on this assignment? This was yesterday. I showed 42. Do you want me to show 8? Okay, I think I did 8 in class. Yes, Reagan. All right, guys, here is your review assignment. Draw.
No, one for the vocab and then one for our words. No. Oh. Bro, Shane. Should be higher. What? Damn.
All right, here's your chapter 6 review. Yeah. I am taking 4 extra credit. I'm taking the vocab and those last 2 formulas. It is due Tuesday before the test. The assignment and the extra credit vocabulary.
How many points is the extra credit?
The extra credit is 5 points. The assignment's worth 8. The test is 100.
Oh. Yeah. That way. That way.
Yep.
Hey.